And Jordan, I think we will go ahead and move on to another way to add additions to your roster. Some people out there don't believe in high school recruiting anymore, but Clemson still believes in high school recruiting, and we still have 7 huge pieces that are going to um, become a part of the Clemson roster this summer. 7 guys that were not here for spring practice. They did not get to go through install and the spring game and all of that stuff, but they will be here for summer workouts for either the first summer session, or they'll definitely all be there for the second summer session, which I think starts June 27th. And those 7 individuals are Drew Woodaz, the brother of Wade Woodaz, coming in to play linebacker for us. Obviously, a position of need for the Clemson Tigers. Obviously, we have a good group of linebackers there. We saw how they performed in the spring game, but that depth chart is still kind of working itself out. So Drew Woodaz could come in and be one of those big depth pieces that help contribute at some point in time this season. Super athletic guy. Supposed to be the most athletic of the Woodaz family. So we'll see when he gets into Clemson and fall camp and kind of see what the word is around him. We got CJ Kuba Taylor, another guy that's going to come in and really help this roster out. Was a big recruit. And then a guy that we've talked about a lot, Jordan, TJ Moore. We saw what Brian Westow came in and did in the spring. We saw how he showed out in the spring game, had that really nice touchdown catch that was a very difficult catch that he pulled in. Heard all of the good things coming out of all the spring practices. So we know he was as advertised. He's the real deal, and we expect nothing less of TJ Moore. We expect him to come in and immediately start contributing to this offense. 6'3", 190 pound. He's kind of that big body type, that takeover type wide receiver that Clemson has been lacking for so many years. And that's what we expect TJ Moore to come in and become. So hopefully he comes in able to pick up that playbook really quickly. I got high hopes for this dude. I'm excited that he'll be on campus here soon. And I can't wait to hear what he's doing in fall camp. I literally cannot wait. We got Heaven Brown-Schuler, defensive lineman coming in, Darian Mayo, another defensive lineman, Ashton Hampton, safety coming in, and then Christian Bentiker, tight end coming in. We got a really good tight end room. We saw it in the spring, but this dude's the real deal as well. Christian Bentiker, those of you that have not seen his tape, go out there and watch it. This dude is the real deal. I think he's going to be special at Clemson. He's going to be a problem if we can figure out how to properly use him. Make no doubt about that. So, Jordan, what are your thoughts on these last 7 pieces, if you will, that are going to complete the 2024 roster for Clemson football? How excited are you about these guys, and what do you think these guys' chances are? You don't have to go through all of them, but the chances of a couple of them of having real playing time and being contributors for Clemson this season.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on the linebackers, Drew Woodaz and CJ Kuba Taylor, 2 just really great athletes. So they come in and help, and that's kind of the mold that Wes Goodwin has been trying to bring into this linebacker room. So you're starting to see his room kind of take on the identity of Wes. And these 2 guys are extremely athletic. CJ Kuba Taylor is a guy that hasn't been playing linebacker that long, but he kind of jumped on the scene when teams came to scout his teammate Darian Mayo, and so it was just kind of one of those things where he jumped off the screen more than some of the guys that were higher recruited than him, and I think that the potential there is really exciting. Obviously, you talk about TJ. I'll just hit on TJ Moore because I think he's just a guy that reminds you of the Clemson wide receivers of old. Just watching him play. I mean, obviously the 5-star pedigree, speaks for itself, but man, like he's a guy that looks ready and built to play at a high level right away. and it was all over his tape. And it took forever for the recruiting industry to realize it, because
Yeah,
he
no
wasn't
doubt.
he wasn't a huge camp guy, and they hadn't seen him a ton at Tampa Catholic. But man, when you watch him, it's like he looks every bit the part of a 5-star wide receiver,
Mhm.
and just the speed, the route running, the man catches everything. Natural hands for the position.
Everything.
Um, he really is a very well-rounded receiver that does a lot of things extremely well. So excited for him to get on campus. You mentioned Christian Bentaker, freak tight end. I mean, as physically gifted a tight end as Clemson has had in some time. Just a man that big, that moves the way he does, is pretty abnormal.
Yeah.
I have really high hopes for him in this offense. We'll see kind of how he factors into the tight end room, because he does bring very high level skill set right off the bat, and he's joining a really what we think is a pretty talented tight end room. And then Heaven Brown Schuler will add to that defensive line depth. Massive human being, looks like a grown man. I don't know if you saw his prom pictures, like he posted them like a while back.
Yeah.
Like he looked like I was like, this is not a 17-year-old. This is like, this
Yeah.
dude
That
is
dude,
26.
yeah, dude looks at least 25.
Yeah.
This man should be entering the NFL draft, dude.
He definitely looks the part. I'm excited for him. And then Ashton Hampton, late take from Florida, just really versatile defensive back. Will play safety, can play corner, will play nickel. He brings a lot of scheme versatility. Really like his tape, and I think I hit on everybody. I believe I did.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Even though you said I didn't have to hit on everybody, but I did anyway. But of those guys, obviously, I think if I had to put odds on who is the most, primed to make an impact immediately, I think is obviously TJ Moore.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I just think he brings a different body type, skill level, and we're really high on we're relatively high on this wide receiver room this year, but I think TJ Moore is a guy that brings that truly 5-star pedigree
Yeah.
that we just haven't seen. And him, along with Bryant Wesco, I think bring just kind of that. These are guys that you see being taken early off of draft boards.
Yeah.
That's what they remind you of. So,
yeah, I mean, he's got a skill set that you feel like as long as he can learn the playbook and understand that stuff, like he's got a set that's just going to be really hard to keep off the field. I mean, his body style, like we just need a guy like that can go in there and just take over. We really need that. And Adam Randall's a guy that could be that. Obviously,
absolutely, he has a breakout year.
We've seen some improvement from him. Specifically towards the end of last season, and then this spring as well. So if he continues to make that growth, obviously he can be that guy as well. But you got to think a guy like TJ Moore is going to come in and be a significant contributor to this Clemson offense. And frankly, we need him to be because we do have as good as we feel about the wide receiver room, we do need those bigger guys that can, go up and get balls and make these catches and, be kind of, these possession type wide receiver, these boundary guys that are really going to affect the defense. Right. So, yeah, I think he's definitely probably the one that stands out the most that'll probably contribute this season. But you think about a guy, I mean, defense, Darian Mayo, he's a guy that could come in and contribute for sure.
Especially with the departure of Adam Kasai. I mean, again, he wasn't, a factor as far as, playing, but,
right.
That's just one less guy that he's going to have to compete with.
That's right.
And he's extremely talented and massive, 6'7". You don't really see that many, defensive ends that are that big and that tall. And he plays every bit with that size and length. So, I mean, he's a guy that can absolutely factor into this defensive end room and kind of take some pressure off of TJ Parker, Peter Woods, who's going to be playing
That's
some
right.
defensive end, Caden Story, Cade Denhoff. I think he's a guy that could potentially factor into the rotation depending on how he adjusts in fall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I'm excited to see kind of how he comes in and how quickly he develops within the program. Another guy I'm gonna keep my eye on. So those are the summer roster additions for Clemson, and I think it's a really good haul, man. It's a really good group of guys that haven't been on campus yet. It's going to make, I think, a huge addition to the roster come fall camp. Obviously, they'll have summer workouts, but we're not really privy to any information happening during summer workouts or any of that stuff. The first time we will hear about any of these guys will be fall camp. So we'll look forward to hearing about all of these guys come fall camp and how they're shaking out on the depth chart, and are they pushing guys? Are they competing for playing time? Are they competing for these depth spots that are still unsecured? It'll be interesting to see, but we got a lot of good guys. 7 of them will be coming here shortly and be on Clemson's campus probably within the next month or two. Obviously, if they're going to be here for session 1, they'll obviously be on campus in probably a couple weeks. Session 2 of summer workouts starts, like I said, June 27th. So we'll see how it all shakes out, but a lot of stuff to be excited for if you're a Clemson fan. A lot of stuff to give you a little bit of hope for the future and the turnaround of this program. So